There you go. Okay, now, here we go. Thanks, Corey. That's fine. Thank you. Okay, it is now 7 PM, 7:01. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Julie Hall.
Steve Dexel.
Board Griffiths.
Robert Mitchell. We're doing roll call. This is the board roll call. Michael is, he has an excused absence. He's with his mom with medical issues right now. So that's the board. Approval of the agenda. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor? Aye. Agenda approved. Approval of the previous minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the previous minutes? I think that there was a correction.
Yes,
Would you like
there was
to-
a correction. A resident, paragraph 7 under operations. We need to make a correction. Let me find it.
Oh, yeah, he might made that recommendation. Brian White, wasn't it? I said that?
It was a resident.
Yeah, Brian
White.
Pam, Patty.
So did it change it?
And
No, it's not changing. It still says that you said it, but it was Brian's wife that made that.
So that was Pam.
Right, I didn't say that.
so instead of Director Sewell, it is Brian's wife Pam.
Correct.
I think that's her name. And
Nice people.
What was her last name? Do you recall, Steve? Start with the L, right?
I don't know.
Anyway, Pam.
How do we make that?
Resident.
What do we do?
We just
know that-
acknowledge.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it, that it was Pam that had made that comment and not
yeah,
you.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the previous minutes
With the
with,
exception.
with the exception of making the correction of paragraph 7. To change Director Soul to Pam,
President Pam.
President Pam. That made that comment.
Yes.
I second that motion. All in favor?
I.
Aye. Motion approved. Minutes approved. Special business. Budget committee.
We have no update. We did meet with Guy Patterson, our new director or general manager. And they are working on the budget. So hopefully within a couple of weeks, we'll be able to start getting some clarity on what we have.
Super, thank you. Recreation committee, Michael's not here. We do not currently have any updates at this time either.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Swimming at the lake, why is it prohibited?
Because you have to have a lifeguard and we're not
You
going
don't
to
have to
take
have a
on,
lifeguard.
we're not taking on that liability.
Yeah.
Remember when we
Swim
had
at low
the
risk.
kids that were in the canoe and the canoe was up on the side, then all of a sudden, everybody had to find where the kids were, the 2 young boys.
Yep.
And they went knocking door to door. We had the police here, we had the fire department here, and it turned out they were not in the lake.
Well, it's no different than any other lake. Swim at your own risk.
I don't know if it has anything to do with that or that it's a stagnant lake. It is not moving water and,
Neither is,
I guess we need to check in on it.
Echo. I don't know, I'm just bringing it up. I'm curious.
At this time, yeah, there is no,
I did have a resident bring up if we were looking at still possibly getting some fish. And that they're moving fish constantly, through areas of his work. Several different companies are still hauling and supplying fish. I don't know if it's because we're waiting to see where the budget is or if we're even interested in doing that at this time.
I think there's a couple issues on that. First, the budget is, we need to know where we're standing on that. And second, remember the dam is still needing some work. If we just put fish in and then we take them out or whatever afterwards, then it seems like a waste of money. So we need to find out where we're going to be on the dam. I'm not sure that that's the direction they're going.
And then
Maybe it
I was also told that even though we've got large carp, a lot of carp in the lake,
is.
that the larger ones aren't as hungry to grow anymore, so you need to replenish with younger carp to clean up the grasses.
Yes, sir.
That is true,
So,
as I was instructed to, but they usually happen early, like in April.
right,
Is
Right.
when that takes occur, so it's already too late for the young carp.
right.
Okay. Okay, so does that,
Oh, yeah. I bring
that's-
some of this up in case anybody listening up in there that's interested in what's going on in the
sounds good.
neighborhood.
Okay, and as for the personnel committee, we now have, Steve and I have switched places. I'm now back with recreation and Steve is with personnel. That was what we agreed to a couple months ago.
So you've been involved with this longer than I have, so I don't have a report to give on my own.
I don't really have a report to give on operations staff. I've got guys on board. He's, I think, really gonna make a positive change.
I agree.
No,
We probably should introduce Guy up front.
Now that he's with us, yes, welcome, Guy.
thank you.
Mr. Guy Patterson. He does have a bio and we will get that on the website for everyone that is interested to see more of his history. We welcome you and we're looking forward to the future.
Definitely.
New district manager, in case anybody's wondering.
So he's our go-to guy.
On the committee portion here, I was reading our manual again, and there's a few of us that I feel is owed a little bit of money credited to our account for some of the special meetings that we had to attend since the new board started.
Yeah, maybe we can talk to the district manager and point out some of that stuff, the policy and maybe do some catching up on whatever needs to be caught up on.
I can speak to that particular instance.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, please do.
I would suggest that your test is it a posted meeting?
And they are.
And that would be your test.
Okay, they are. posted.
That's a meeting posting it is kind of the implicit indication you're doing business.
We've had a few
Yep,
posted
yeah.
meetings, so.
And then you guys have a cap.
Yes,
But,
we do.
and then after that, just stop having meetings.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea.
Sometime near the Broncos season.
That's generally
I
it.
think with you being here, that a lot of those meetings will subside as far as the numbers.
Yeah, there's a,
But I think that's your test, if you get reimbursed from me or not, is if you post it.
and it is. And I do look for those meetings to definitely decrease. We may still have to have one or two yet in the future to discuss everything in the direction.
You're not gonna
But,
get rid of them all.
well, we
Definitely not gonna be the 9 that we had.
not as many anyway. Okay, so special business personnel is all good. We've got public comments at this time. Any speakers? You have a 5-minute limit. We need you to identify yourselves with your full name and address, please.
Anyone on the phone?
Okay, is this regarding the messages I left in the thing, the chat? Bonnie Salona, 1472 Pine Valley Road. Can you hear me?
We're having a hard time hearing you.
She put it in the chat.
She did put it in the chat. Right there.
Yeah, that's why I just figured I'd put it in the chat and let you guys address it. Doing my best with the iPad, which is an old one. Basically, major kudos to the guys with the roads. The good news is roads are nice and smooth. Bad news is I even find myself speeding because I don't even realize it. I'm going up there like 30 miles an hour. Oh my God, because the roads are too good. See, you can't please everybody, even if you try. even if you like put those ripples like you have down at the bottom, to slow things down because anyways, and then the other thing, I'm just wondering what is going on in San Moritz. They have the whole road dug up. I have had no phone service since Friday. CenturyLink says they can't do anything about it until next Monday. I'm on 24/7 oxygen and I have a lifeline that connects with the fire station. It's a landline. So I just want to know what that's going on because the last time they did that, they dug up my property and it was LPEA. So I just want to know what's going on and if the digging that happened on San Moritz could have anything to do with the phone lines. Thank you.
So the digging on San Moritz is a contractor nicked a water line. That thing has been repaired. This is the first I've heard of any issues with telecommunications or power or anything like that. So that is new to me. I was on site when it first happened and spoke to the people, and there was no indication at that time anything other than a water line had been nicked. So I can look into it. I'm not sure they're related.
Oops, you're freezing on me.
Okay, thanks, Bonnie.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else that's interested in speaking?
Yeah, my name is Ryan and I live at 159 Hillside Circle. And our road is really in need of repair. I've been calling about it since last fall when one of the people on our street dug a trench across the entire road to put in natural gas, and then they did not backfill the trench properly. And so there's a big, dip in the road there, as well as a ton of potholes, and the road just kind of took a beating in the spring as well. And so I've called the Metro District about it several times, and I'm just wondering if the board might be able to bring it to the attention of the roads maintenance crew and prioritize maintenance on our road.
And could you give the address on that again, please?
Yeah, my address is 159 Hillside Circle.
All right, so I'm hearing you and I'll speak to staff tomorrow and we'll follow up on it.
All right, thank you.
I just got here last week, so that'll be my excuse for the next 3 years.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm good. Thanks, Ryan. Anyone else that would like to speak?
Quite a few checked in, but not one.
I see. Well, I see one that's trying to connect to audio, yeah, but, otherwise it looks good. So we'll go ahead and we'll move forward to the reports, and we've got the district manager guy. If you got anything to present for us?
I do. First of all, appreciate being here. Everybody's been very helpful. You guys have been great and welcoming, so I appreciate that. I've had meetings, I'm sorry.
So you don't have to lie.
Stop paying me, I'll stop lying. The majority of board members, I've had meetings with the majority of board members, staff, legal counsel, the contract accountant, utilities operator, responsible charge, the fire district, and your grant writer. I have meetings in the near future with Rick Johnson, your district engineer. I hope to meet with La Plata County, Bayfield, Durango, and state DOLA rep in the near future. That's just a partial list. There's others that I'm adding to that list, but I think that's the core of the people I want to touch base with. I'm beginning to go through contracts and getting up to speed on some of those daily issues. On last Friday, August 4th, I had a full staff meeting. We actually went down to the Upper Pine River Fire Protection District offices in Bayfield, and it was an excellent opportunity to begin getting to know the staff. And I'm also doing an organizational review, and that was part of that. So in this assessment, if there's any changes, this assessment will be the basis of those changes for the organization. And hopefully those will come sooner rather than later to you guys. So we had that discussion. Well, I'm seeing you later. Mark Fusion and I spoke today, and the state will be putting the district on a list for the state to pay for the entire lead copper program and actually help do it. So he's gonna be in contact with this. He told me after our conversation that we are now on the list. If the district is approved, I envision the district signing the grant with the state. It's essentially gonna be a grant, but Mr. Fusion will oversee the project locally.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be a big help. I'm working with your attorney to review the water rights portfolio, make sure we have it right. One thing I want to talk to you guys about, I would like to have the board permission to reach out to an associate of mine, a lady I've worked with for about a decade. Her name's Lorraine Trotter. Lorraine Trotter owns a company called Professional Management Systems, and she has considerable experience with Cassell, which is what I need right now. Leslie, our contractor right now for accounting, is an excellent accountant, but has not used Cassell. And if you've not used Cassell, it is similar to trying to build an airplane while flying it. If you've never used it, you're not used to it and you're trying to use it. It is fairly complicated. So I think if I could reach out to Lorraine, I would try to use her to get Cassell up and running and to participate and facilitate some of the staff trainings, just at least get it that far. Because I do feel a great sense of urgency and I don't want to wait and I want to get this up and running. So if I could have permission to reach out to her, begin that discussion, if there's anything contractual in nature, then I'll get back to you and we'll try to approve it. That may necessitate a special meeting. Again, I am putting a huge emphasis on trying to get that going as quick as possible and get the staff immersed in it so that they can get going on it.
Yeah, we're flying blind right now.
Yep, you are.
I'm gonna pull Joey's card, so I don't know how much an hour or what are we paying her to step in and do this?
We're not above $100 with our current one. I think Lorraine is over $100 an hour. Lorraine has the knowledge so that she can be very, very efficient. The platform that I'm trying to bring here is similar to the town I just worked at that also uses Cassell, where Lorraine was my consultant there and she'd worked on it for 5 years. So for the revenue coding, the expense coding, the holding accounts, we're very, very familiar with those. Those transfer very well to here. Okay. And I think I've actually showed all of you individually some of the work I've been doing that is lifted by and large from where I just left. So I think that whole process can go pretty quick. Who we have right now helping us just simply does not have the knowledge with Cassell. Knows everything else, nothing with professionalism. She's been great to work with. It's just knowing Cassell really helps. So I want to hear you guys. I'm sorry?
What town was that?
I worked in Hudson, Colorado. No, Hudson is a suburb of Denver. It's commonly considered the next suburb to kind of blow up. I was their city manager for 4 years.
And do we have a time frame that how long we might keep Lorraine?
So I'm guessing if I can get her on board and get her going, I think we can make substantial progress in 3 weeks to a month. So I'm thinking the engagement is 6 weeks. I wouldn't want to put a time on the engagement. I would put a list of things we're trying to get done. Yep. And the help we need to get it going.
Would we be able to consider instead of hourly, maybe a flat fee?
I will bring that up to her. I'm not sure what she does. Typically, we did it hourly.
Okay.
And she does have staff. She oversees them. I've worked with the majority of her staff and I'm impressed by them too. And they all know Cassell. And most of them, I think all of them actually, are former clerks and accountants in metropolitan settings, municipalities. So they understand funds-based accounting very well and understand Cassell.
Okay.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that? Oh, I don't need a motion or anything, just nods.
Yes, I think we're in agreement that that would probably be a good fix. I do like the idea of questioning to see if she would do a flat fee. I do think that that's a very good question.
Okay.
And maybe she will, maybe she won't, but yeah,
And she can take care of a ton of this stuff over the internet. So that helps a ton.
Because as you're aware, our main concern right now is making sure that we have funds available through the rest of the year without us knowing where we are at this time.
Yep. Yep.
So. You're well aware of that.
You've had the fiduciary responsibility legally, and I'm 10 times more frustrated than you are, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think, Forest Lakes Metro, the residents have been desiring upgrades, expeditiary movements within the staff, within keeping the maintenance up in the area, just everything has been lacking. And I think that that's where we're at right now, is anything we can do to expedite getting things rolling is very critical.
The two things I have an extreme sense of urgency about are your finances and the evaluation of the staff of the organization. So that's all I have. Any questions?
super,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Office manager, Shauna will be giving that report. Shauna, are you available?
Yes, ma'am. So we did 13 title transfers, 2 excavation permits, 3 tap requests, 12 requests from title companies, processed 12, we have 1,205 Invoice Cloud active customers, 615 paperless customers, and we only had 39 payments this month used through Payport. Hanan Equipment will have a greater lease agreement for the greater available August 15th for you guys to review. A&J Electric finished installing the electric panel for our solar arrays without a generator and will wrap things up this week. Our new mower should arrive sometime next week, we're hoping. We did get an update. It was supposed to be here on the 26th. We got an update that it's missing in transit. So they opened an investigation about that, and we're hoping to have an update tomorrow or the next day from them. We've continued our training sessions with Matt at Cassell over the last month and have learned lots of things, and things are running a little smoother on the financial side now that some of those changes have been facilitated with Leslie and Cassell. Leslie and Jamie have been working on submitting documentation to the auditor for the 2022 audit. Estimates for the mail stop roof repair have been emailed to the claims adjuster.
Any figure on that?
I do know that 3 estimates were received. I believe the highest one was right around the $7,000 mark, and then there was a lower one. I believe it was like in the $4,000 or $5,000 range. I'm not certain of that though.
I have it on my desk to reach out to the installer too, and just see if they got 3 panels.
What about the shop?
But
The dam side on the shop?
Yeah,
Oh, that whole wall out there.
maintenance guys are gonna actually work on that supposedly. That didn't get turned into insurance, as I understand. They felt like they could fix that.
we'll look at it.
So,
Yeah.
Guy, you've reviewed the quotes.
I have not reviewed those. I have them, they're on my desk. I have not reviewed for their.
Okay. There were only 2 and only one was decent.
What I would like to do though is just call the people who installed it and see if they can actually come out and fix it.
Yeah.
Cause I look at it and it's 3 slats and then reattaching the snow stops.
Yeah.
Which apparently got ripped off by an act of God.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, Shauna.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to back up for just a
Oh,
second.
hang
No,
on a
no,
moment.
not with her, but we were talking about the Jake brake or exhaust assisted braking system. Can we at least put the signage up for that? Just to let them know, hey, it may have an effect even though we don't have police that's gonna monitor that.
we can't enforce it. I mean, so what happens when they violate it?
Well, some of them might not violate it if there's signage. But then again, we have signs up that say no overnight parking, and we have people overnight parking.
But that's an enforceable thing through the code. I'll look into it. Don't get your hopes up.
I understand.
Okay.
It's just kind of a nuisance more than anything.
Oh, Jake breaks sound terrible. They have a reason for using them sometimes. But yeah, Jake breaks sound like your feelings are coming loose.
Sounds good. Let's go ahead and move on. I don't see Trevor on board with this as of yet. Maybe we should go ahead and move down to financial.
We're gonna come back to this.
Yeah, we'll come back to Trevor's report. Look, he's out working, Meadowbrook, I believe it was. So he might be able to make it. I don't know if Daryl would be able to handle that or not. That should throw him under the bus, so wouldn't it?
Daryl, you know,
Daryl's on there. Daryl, are you familiar with the Trevor's report?
You're on mute.
I don't think so.
Okay.
we'll come back.
We'll come back for that afterwards. And for the financial,
I did not receive any sort of financial report.
okay.
And is that again because it's held up by Cassell? We should at least be able to get bank statements and so forth.
You can get expenditures and revenue. How it's tied to your budget is basically impossible right now.
Right.
Bill Johnson, it's not letting him unmute.
With the luckiest
There you go.
brother. Oh, nice.
There it is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Trevor's report? Would you like to give it, or do you just want to wait for him to see if he's able to come?
I would rather wait for him to see if he's gonna come, just because,
Okay.
I mean, I've heard him give it, and I mean, I understand most of what he's doing, but I'm not in all the operations that the other guys do, so I don't wanna leave
I
something
understand.
out.
Yeah, no, appreciate that, Daryl. Just don't mean to throw you under the bus.
Nope, no problem.
Thank you. We'll go over that after, well, we don't have a financial report. So,
We'll come back.
What have you guys been getting as a plan? Not much.
Last month, nothing. Her Excel spreadsheet was deleted. I don't know exactly.
really haven't been getting much at all.
We need to
So-
pull that door.
So yeah, there's still some things, but we do have a question here. Is teaching Cassell or using the accounting information?
Okay, yeah, is she teaching Cassell or using our accounting information? She is not necessarily going to be teaching Cassell. How we're going to organize this is Cassell is at the end user. The data entry part is almost a strict data entry bookkeeping exercise. So what we're actually going to be teaching staff is how to do the 6 or 7 basic data entry procedures for both revenue and expenditures in Cassell. And then that will be tied off with the accountant. So with QuickBooks, we got monthly profit and loss statements and a balance sheet. Yeah, Cassell, you're going to get a general ledger report. It's got 200 different reports that can give you any way you want it. What will be given to this board and to the citizens when Cassell is fully operational will be what's called a general ledger report. So it'll tell you all account balances, and then all fund balances, and then all revenue and expenditures year to date. That's the document I prefer to provide governing bodies and citizens.
Thanks, Clarissa. So property tax collection year to date for 2023, we have received $660,320 of the levied property tax of the 704,709. Water pumping. In July, we pumped over 7 million gallons of water between the 4 wells. That was almost 2 million more gallons this time. More this time of year, more this time than last year. So we're definitely pumping more residents, warmer, makes sense, sort of. Unfinished business. Grassy Mountain Mitigation Project. Nick,
Hey,
would you like to give an update on all of that?
sure. Am I going to sit here or do you want me to?
I mean, if you wanna stand, you can, but
You want
you're
me to come
fine.
up?
You can stand or you can sit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Nick Olson. I'm the Southwest Colorado Project Coordinator of the National Forest Foundation. This project is a partnership between the BLM, we've got Mark Atwood here representing the BLM, the State Forest Service. We have Ryan Cox here representing the state. The state's also helping to represent the State Land Board, which has that middle parcel up above the Forest Lakes community. And then, I don't know if it was last board meeting or 2 meetings ago, Travis Brook is our primary representative from the U.S. Forest Service. So we've got quite a few different agencies involved. The goal is to treat about 500 to 600 acres above the Forest Lakes community with a fire mitigation treatment. That treatment will move across all 3 of those jurisdictions, and we hope to be a relatively seamless treatment as phase 1. So that treatment, there might be some subtle variations between the jurisdictions based upon what their various reports produce, but to the common eye, it should look fairly, what's the word I'm looking for? A smooth transition across the different land ownerships.
When you say jurisdictions, are you talking about government ownership of property?
Yes, exactly. So in your board packet, and feel free to share it with the neighborhood too. This is still a draft map. Keep that in mind. The boundaries have not been finalized, but there are 3 different jurisdictions of federal land or governmental land ownership above the Forest Lakes community. Each of these parcels have received some treatment in the past, but they've all been done independently. So this time we're trying to reach some economies of scale by working across all 3 jurisdictions on this particular project. I have provided the written description from the U.S. Forest Service side. As I said, this is still in draft form. The BLM is in the process of wrapping up their first draft. They've expanded the acreage a little bit. And then the State Forest Service is representing the State Land Board, drafting their prescription for their part. And then we'll sit down and make sure that those 3 treatments work together across that belt of the Forest Lakes community. Current timeline, we're hoping to have those treatments, that scope of work finalized as soon as we can. So next month, definitely 2 months. And then we want to get that out to bid to have a contractor lined up. Now, most of the contractors that are folks we want to use on a project like this, that has had the sensitivity of being close to a neighborhood, we want to make sure we get our best contractors out there, and they're likely booked through the remainder of this field season. So really, we're looking to get somebody contracted that will start operations once snow's off the ground next year. So we've got a little time before things actually start happening. The few reasons that we're here today, one is to inform you all where we are with this project. The second is, to make this project a reality, we will need to create some sort of temporary easements on your road access to be able to access these parcels. Both for getting the machinery up there to do the treatments, but then we are hoping to remove some of those fuels from the project site. This is not a timber harvest, but wood that can be used either for lumber or for firewood. We are hoping to get that off because at the end of the day, we can pull off that hillside, the less there is to burn later on. So there's,
Sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with this project, so.
Sure. No, please.
How much of the activity is in the metro district boundaries?
Currently none.
Okay,
Um,
so when you want an easement for us, that's just an access easement on a road
correct.
across property.
Across the roads. There are two private landowners, one of whom we no formal decisions there that we'd like to be able to access across the price. The state has accessed across their property in the past, so this isn't something new. But that's, we're in the early stages of making those connections as well.
So if you're using platted right away, why do you need this?
Well, our understanding is that as the metro district, you ultimately control who can access and how these roads get used.
Okay.
And also we want to be good neighbors. And so I think that's the other piece of this is that certainly there's some funding built into this for road maintenance. This is a typical road use. We will have machinery on the road. And so that's something, I know when Travis was here, there was discussion about the possibility of the road grader that you lease, whether that's us, providing funding for the metro district to do that, maybe afterwards to go towards that lease. If that's not something that's of interest, it's easy enough for us to also go and bid out that maintenance after we're done with the project site.
I don't necessarily see us needing to do a temporary easement.
Okay.
We could establish an IPA.
We'll do some sort of agreement with you, and I think Gunnar was heading the same way. And that agreement is gonna be remediation of the roads back to the standard which you found them. Times of when it's not gonna interfere with our traffic.
Yeah.
Those types of things. So that will be some sort of agreement, whatever instrument we choose. But I think those are the topics that we're looking at.
Great, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say with that, exactly what you said, some of the things that we want to know, what times of day do we not want the trucks going up? Are there weekends or days when there are community events that we don't want operations occurring? We know that there is a hunting lease up on the state land board. One of our state forest representatives is also working with them to try and minimize the impact to that state hunting
Do
lease.
you guys have drafts of these types of agreements already?
We are working on a draft of the scope of work. Yeah.
Okay.
And we do have a monthly meeting now that you're on board. Certainly appreciate your attendance there if you have the availability.
Okay.
And from there, we have some smaller meetings that occur too, based upon the more technical parts of the project.
Feel free to remind me via email.
Great.
And we'll look forward to getting one of those drafts for you to start the discussion.
And
Great.
I do have another concern about logging trucks. I don't know if you guys have actually driven some of these that you have marked here.
Yes.
They're pretty tight for a big truck.
Yeah. And so I think that's, we provided this is, and I can let Mark speak to the BLM site. That's his wheelhouse, but as you know, that area up there, the longer the haul distance, the more expensive this project becomes. And so and also the more heavily impacted roads and houses are. The thought was if we could distribute that impact, it means more people are impacted but for less amount of time. And with those roads, we end up putting some landing sites on the BLM side of things, not on the Metro District side, where those log trucks would be able to turn around. And with those log trucks, that's something where we could, say, hey, we're working with 20-foot links in a bump trailer where they're not, 60-foot long trucks kind of deal.
You guys gonna put out trucking signs, heavy truck traffic?
Yeah. So it'll all be signed. We have support from the BLM and from the Forest Service and their public information officers. So in addition to sharing out at these sessions, we'll definitely have a couple of walkthroughs on the site where the community can come out here, what the treatments will look like. Some ideas that were proposed was even setting up an information stand at the entrance of the Forest Lakes community and having just sort of an open stop by, chat with us.
Free firewood?
That's definitely been something that we've discussed, is that we can set up some decks for the community to collect that wood afterwards. And at the end of the day, the more of that wood that we can pull off the hillside, the better protected this community is going to be in the event of wildfire. One piece that, so that's phase one. I do want to put the bug in your ear, and this is for a much longer conversation. Phase two is going to deal with the slash treatment, so the wood that we're not able to pull off of the hillside. I know there's a curtain burner down at the Upper Pine Fire District. We do have some options in town for commercial, large commercial scale grinders and pulling some mulch off. But I know that some of our organizations and the BLM sort of leading the helm of this is interested in using fire to maintain these treatments long term. That these treatments, the mechanical treatments, are going to be effective for a certain number of years, and maintenance moving forward is going to be crucial to keeping the integrity of these treatments and the goals of these treatments intact. And so that's something that I think we want to start an early conversation with the community. Is to talk about what that might look like to have fire as a tool in managing these ownerships of other people. And we did see a successful example of that on Animas City Mountain. They're outside of Durango this fall, where the BLM, they executed a type 1, so the most complex type of burn, right up next to the city limits. And so that's something that we want to start. Thank that bug in an early conversation to have moving forward.
In this, the agreement we're going to contemplate in this initial effort, when are you planning on getting us a draft?
I would love to sit down with you. This type of project is new for the team. This sort of cross-boundary, large scale. So you are our pilot in this region, which means that you are getting a lot of additional resources because they want this to be a success. We want to see this replicated throughout Southwestern Colorado. It's the largest subdivision. This was the first area targeted for this shared stewardship type project. We've seen it implemented successfully around Gunnison Valley, and that's where we are the model for down here. So that was a really long-winded way to say, Guy, I'd love to sit down. It sounds like you have some experience in this realm to help us understand what we need in place to make sure we can execute the project, but also are good neighbors with the community here.
If you do have some sort of draft language, let me know.
Okay,
That's a great place to start.
Okay.
My concern, and the citizens and board understand some of the implications of this. So if you guys have concerns, let me know. We can get it across, or we can have a conversation about it. I will tell you, this board meets once a month. They can do special meetings, or just, I know you're 8 months out from starting this thing.
Yeah.
But if you linger, you find yourself, that's something.
Sure.
Do we have additional questions up there? I keep seeing.
Steph, did you have any questions?
No. Okay.
Did you hear? Do you have something you wanted to contribute?
No, I mean, we have Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, and State Forest Service prescriptions fairly well drafted. We put some finishing touches on, but as far as actual prescriptions, we're getting pretty close. I'm not sure where BLM is. Your side, Mark.
We'll have ours in a week.
Okay, so we're pretty close on it.
And then we'll probably physically just go out and walk. We'll go take a look at it and show you the crunchy corners
And I brought some cards. I'm the coordinating person for this project. Certainly have lots of experts that I can pull in as needed, but I'll leave these cards here. So, if you do have questions, feel free to start with me, and then I can farm out questions to the best suited to answer. And as I mentioned, we are hoping to get the agreement language and the contract done within the next couple of months to ensure we get our preferred contractors. But we are planning throughout the fall and spring, multiple touch points with the community to give folks a chance to chat with us and understand the goals of the project. And if we need to make any last minute tweaks, we can do our best to accommodate those to impact the community as little as possible.
If I can just add for just a second, I think that a project like this with the federal agencies and state agencies involved in trying to balance the communities, it takes a long time to keep everybody happy. You guys probably all understand this. And so to get information out as far enough, you guys understand, you know, particularly I'm representing the BLM's interest in how we hope to do these treatments. So there's no surprise.
Lines over there.
No, prescribed. Sorry.
No.
I was just with the prescribed burning, and that's a long process to get in place and then keep everybody notified and informed. And so at some point, whenever we can maybe have a more question and answer, kind of share some long-term implementation, like step 1, step 2, would be really helpful for the BLM to just make sure that we're on the same page so that we don't break any eggs as we try this relationship out, and everyone's aware of we're sharing the risk together and figuring out what your guys' needs are. And so ultimately for me, I guess what I'd like to finish with is just saying cutting the timber and moving some brush is great, but without doing prescribed fire in some form or fashion up there, really doesn't change the risk to those adjacent properties that are adjacent to the BLM and or the state or any of these other federal lands. So I would highly encourage, you know, the discussion about prescribed fire and what that looks like and how the community can get behind it or not, just so we can dance as a couple well, you know.
I'm not sure which agency could do this. But I've done multi-jurisdictional stuff where we've created a website specifically for the project. So that the 2,000 residents here can have access anytime they want. The updates can be put there. It's kind of a clearinghouse.
Yeah.
That's just,
That's come up in some of our conversations, and they can address that more with the PIO, the Public Information Officer from each agency. It'll probably be housed in the NFF lane with inputs from the federal agencies. I don't think.
Yeah, I think, and what I've seen in other communities in Southwest Colorado, and I grew up here as well, so this is my home. I care a lot about it. I do want to put that out there. But is that, you know, Facebook seems to be a good site. I don't know if that's the case for this community, but we talked about a Facebook page. If it is just a straight web page, we can accommodate that. We look to you all for guidance on the best way to connect with the community. If you have other ideas for getting information out, please let us know. I know we take a lot of your time. I did want to mention one more piece that's not currently part of this project. We did talk about how there's no current plans for within the Metro District. I know Wildfire Adapted Partnerships has had a CAFA grant, which has done some fire mitigation work on private property within the Metro District. That's something that's come up as a discussion point. You know, certainly driving through, there seems like there's ample room for additional work on private property to the extent those owners are interested. So if that is something that the community wants to explore and look for additional funding to support treatments moving across into the Metro District, we would be more than happy to have those conversations and lend our support in trying to find that funding. So that's something to just keep in the back of your heads. The BLM has a few funding options. We're exploring some with the Forest Service. There's a lot of funds coming right now through the bipartisan infrastructure legislation and the Inflation Reduction Act for this type of work. And so it's sort of striking all the irons.
We do have a website that we do an update for updated information. So anything that you might have would be very welcome to make and add to that.
Great. Well, just as soon as we can finalize some of the boundaries and get a treatment that we're ready to share out, I'll make sure to pass that along to the community.
That would be great to get
Thanks,
the
Nick.
information on the grants. They're
Yeah.
doing that now.
Okay.
Right now with another grant, so.
Because I know Wildfire Adapted is very active out here, and there's somebody that we lean on heavily for the landowner side of things.
Yeah.
But we can just be an additional player to help that out.
In this process, do you establish fire breaks in advance of doing controlled burns?
Oh,
or
yes.
do you
Yes.
just wait and see?
No. It would be, and that's Mark's practice.
I am happy to address that either now or at a later time or whenever, or a counterpart of mine. That is my job. I'm a prescribed fire and fuel specialist. That's my deal. I am a qualified burn boss. with the federal agencies. And so that would be something I would work with the community on, to put in the breaks, to time it, to explain it, to show it. And people ask me if I can just belabor it for just a second longer to make it more personable. People ask me, like, what would you do with all the residences? And I would say, stand right against the boundary. Stand on the back of your property and watch us do it. Yes, there's always risk with everything that we do, but it is not as scary as most people make it sound, you know, or like going into the dentist and getting a tooth fix. It sounds scary, it feels scary, but it's actually better in the long run. So our success rate is by far better than the ones that we do lose. And so if there's concern, or there's hydrants, or there's infrastructure, we can plan it all out, get all that stuff identified, get all the fuel breaks put in. But we would first start with doing pile burns and removing a majority of the slash. And when there's snow up there, when there's snow on the ground, we go up and we remove a lot of the timber slash. So when the merchantable timber is gone to somewhere, we would go in, and the unmerchantable material left on the ground, we would pile it and burn it in the snow. And then once that's gone and it's surface fuel, that's when we would come in the spring under good conditions. And that's when we do a broadcast fire, a low intensity, and just start taking it off. And that would have to be done every 3 to 7 years to just keep it maintained. The brush and all the stuff that's going to bring that wildfire into your neighbors and into your backyards is the stuff that's on the forest floor. It's the meat, it's the litter, it's the needle cast and the leaf litter and the oak. It's not the big timber. That's not what's going to burn your house down. It's going to be the brush and the stuff on the forest floor. So yeah, I can go into depth about that, but there would be a very extensive plan, and we can share it. We can address all these concerns. But without that last crowning piece of this, we were only going halfway. And so we really need to, well, my hope is that we can feel where you guys are at, increase your comfort levels with the strategy and the tactics and the timing and when it would all happen. And then we can go from there. But if it's not something that is comfortable for all of us to go forward with, then we would just let the status quo go. And I think we know how that story would probably end. If we can't make it work amenably between all of us, we're not just going to take the risk all by ourselves. So we need to be all at the table together to ultimately protect your guys' homes and the community.
Does the prescribed burn start with phase 2?
Probably phase 3 or 4.
Okay,
So
later.
the way that I see this, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize for taking so much time, but we start by moving the merchantable timber, taking it out, decking it, and getting it out on log trucks. The slash then would be piled, and then it would be burned out there. The excess material, the tops of the trees, the branches, the limbs, all those things are going to get piled. Those piles will be burned, and then we would come through and put in the fuel breaks, the fire breaks, and all of that. And then we would be looking once the box is built, the weather's right, we have our hose lays in, we have the fire trucks parked at people's homes, everybody's briefed, everybody knows what's going. We would then initiate the fire on our terms with the right wind, the right weather. But there will be smoke in people's homes at some point, just as it drifts and goes places. I mean, it's just going to happen. But in the long run, that is what's going to keep their community what they want it to be. And so it's probably phase 4 or 5. The reality is this is probably 3+ years down the road. But that's where I just think if we're not all comfortable right now, we should probably just part ways sooner than later or figure it out. Because it would be tough to go 3 years down the road just to get the carpet pulled out from under us at a later time. So for you guys or us, you know, if you're not interested in it, we don't want to put fire up there and make a bunch of enemies, you know, so we want to be all the same table together. So thanks.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Nick. And I'm sorry,
Right.
Ryan. Thanks. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
well,
coming.
thank you for giving us time to speak and hope once we get those dates to go walk through the woods, come join us and we can talk about what the different phases look like.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Trevor, welcome.
How goes the battle?
Thank you.
How goes the battle?
It's an ongoing battle.
Which one is this? This one, the subcontractor?
No, it's that same week. Meadowbrook.
Residences.
Yep. Thought we had it all fixed, but yeah, a tough one that fails. This guys, I've never seen one fail before. And now we got other issues now that wash rocks into that service line and stuck somewhere and they don't have much volume now. So we're trying to fix that right now.
So it's not done.
Nope. So the guys out there working on it.
Is this all due to the LPEA stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did not do the maintenance report. We left that hoping that there was a chance you might show up. Yep. Here, let's go ahead and skip back to that then, if that's all right with everyone.
So for last month, we fixed the water service leak on Meadowbrook, not the one that we're currently working on. This is a different one. We got the new tracks installed on the skid steer. We fixed the fire hydrants on Berry and Hillside Circle. So that should take care of all of our hydrants that kind of messed up during the winter. So we should be good now on all of our hydrants. We fixed our sewer main on San Moritz. That was from Circle Z when they were doing this bore work for LPEA. We really relocated those meter pits on East Forest Lakes Drive. We had our 2-inch PRV up in Mesa was failing. We got that taken care of. That fixed. Started our fire hydrant testing. Hydrants, we've started that now. And depending on if we get any more leaks, hopefully we can get that done in reasonable time. We're continuing to monitor our headgate flow and make adjustments up there at the river. And continue with our road maintenance and a bunch of 811 locates. Most of those are from Circle Z. And it's not just a one-time deal. We have to go out and relocate, refresh for them. And continuing with our equipment maintenance and our water and wastewater ops. Taking care of the slash and meter swaps, meter reads, and our reads. As far as our vehicles are going, everything's good. Our backhoe is currently having some issues. We got an actuator that's going out on it. We did get that part today, so hopefully by tomorrow, if we get some time, we can install that and backhoe will be back up to fully operational. And our skid steer, we got another code that's coming up on it. We gotta get that in there. It's with the DEF. Yeah, and it seems like our compressor is going out in it as well for our AC, so it's functional, it's running, but not to its full capacity there. As far as everything else goes, our plow truck's good, back trailer, our loader, we had some issues, but we got that taken care of. It was some battery issues. So other than that, that's our status of our fleet. And still no incidences to report. Wonderful.
So Guy, is a skid steer something that a grant could be looked at? Because to purchase. I mean, I don't know, can grants be done for equipment?
Not generally.
Not generally.
No, they're generally bricks and mortar, not for operations.
Okay.
Not for bid.
Okay.
Are you tracking like how many lay miles you guys are doing for road maintenance? Like how much gravel you guys are using?
We're keeping track of the loads each day.
And are you tracking the amount of locate you're doing?
Just for road maintenance
Or just locate in general?
or locates.
Yeah.
I mean, locates, I keep files, I'll print all of
Yes,
our,
what I'm getting at is if you can put more quantitative information into this, that would help you justify needing more people or, you know, having, why you're not getting to one thing.
okay.
Does that make sense? Like,
More descriptive.
yes, like,
More numbers.
we've done, you know, 10 miles of road meters this month. We swapped out 30 meters this month. We did
More specific.
120
More specific
locates this
detail.
month.
You can do that.
I see there's a question up there, Trevor. It says. Last question.
I think what is,
the goop was put on in the morning, not the afternoon, like before. Goop,
No,
yes,
that's not gonna be the norm, that's just kind of situational.
okay. Situation,
Typically, it's gonna be applied in the afternoon. He must have run out of time to lay it down that night, yeah, so we finished it in the morning, and then. Laid down.
What is the concern there? Are they saying it's splashing up on their vehicles or?
the resident, is
This-
that what you're asking?
Yeah, this new product we're using is not like the lignin ones.
See, this dries up a lot.
It was just a surprise, thank you.
Oh, okay.
So, just a surprise, it looks like.
But to answer your question, no, that's not the normal. Won't be the norm.
Okay, moving right along, we've got the resolution 2304, and basically what that is a new signature card at the bank. Now that Guy has joined us, we'll get a new signature card, and everyone must sign it. We'll be doing that tonight, okay? For those of us that need to do that, we need a motion for that, don't I?
We need a motion to sign.
I
I
believe we
would
do.
like to make a motion to approve the resolution 2023-04, Community Banks of Colorado designated depositories.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. So it's passed. Next item of new business is the SDA conference. It's coming up in September. Guy, you have a lot of information on that. Would you let us know? We're sending you.
So this SDA conference is a special districts conference. It's their annual conference. It's the most well-attended conference. It's $375. It starts Tuesday at 7:30 in the morning, goes through Thursday mid-afternoon. Lodging would be approximately $200 a night. I called today. There is nothing that's conference sponsored for lodging, but there is other stuff that's close that's in that ballpark, if not less expensive.
What are the dates?
The dates are September 12th through the 14th. That's Tuesday through Thursday. Since it starts so early, it starts at 7:15 or so on Tuesday morning. I'll be going down there. It starts at 7:15 on Tuesday morning. And so I would be going down there, spending Monday night after work.
And where is this located?
Keystone.
So,
This is very similar to the CML annual conference. I think it's important I go this time because I'm new to this side of the ledger. But this is an excellent conference in the future for electeds to go to as well.
and networking. It actually, we did send Bruce last year to it and stuff, but I feel strongly that Guy should probably attend this for networking purposes to get his name out that he's representing Forest Lakes. And if we need to contact people in the future for certain whatever questions, whatever, if they have other programs, whatever, so we can bring that stuff and borrow whatever they have.
Yeah.
So right now you're looking at about $600 if it's $200 a night for motel, or would that be $800?
Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
Okay, and then $375, so you're $975 plus you got fuel, you got meals, all of that. So
Majority of the meals are.
they
It's
provide.
Yeah, I think there will be one meal.
And the only reason I'm asking is just so we have an idea of what we're looking at as an expenditure there.
Well, and there is a question, is there any board members that would like to attend this? Because that option's available as well.
I would really like to attend this one, but I'll be in Denver.
So you're out.
I would like Guy to attend.
Right. I think he's.
I'm still trying to get through this book.
And that is what it is about,
Yeah,
but it's going to have a lot more detail.
yeah.
I highly do recommend the guy definitely attend this year. Maybe in the future too, but yeah, for sure this year.
Yeah, this has a lot of information. If the board members haven't read it yet, I really encourage everybody to do it because it's very enlightening.
You wanna reach out to Michael? You reach out to Michael, see if he wants to go?
We have yeah, we could see if he's interested in going. I doubt that he'll want to,
I doubt it too,
but I think we
at
could
least
reach
extend the
out,
offer.
yeah. So just putting it out there, if anyone else, but yes, definitely Guy.
Yeah.
And thank you for going.
Yep.
Do we need to approve that, motion that?
I would appreciate a motion just. There you go. One thing I'd like to ask though is, it is Thursday. Can I work from home in Fort Collins Friday? I'd go home on weekends instead of coming back here and then going back. Is it okay if I just take some work with me? And
I think it would save
Travel
time
from
if
there.
you were to do that.
Sure.
that's all I ask.
So I motion to approve the SDA conference for our district manager, September 12th through the 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll check with Michael and see if he's interested. Okay. In also attending. Otherwise, it'll be just Guy at this time. Set a date for her special session. This is probably one of those meetings that as a board, we're all gonna need to meet with Guy and make sure that we're going in the same direction and set that direction.
Yeah.
Unless you have something more to add to that.
What I would add to it is, instead of setting a date now, why don't I see where I get with talking to Lorraine, my organizational review, and then that will give us some, if we have to have stuff on the agenda, I'm thinking no more than 2 weeks. And then have that discussion about, our interaction and all those things.
Okay, well, then we'll wait for you
But
to
let
reach out.
me do some work and then I'll reach out with you and we'll try to hammer some dates. Thinking 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks at most. I want to get stuff going.
Okay.
Sounds
good.
So that's something in the
Is that what-
future expected.
Yeah.
Okay, as for towing,
Are we actually gonna start doing it?
well, we've asked, I did ask Shauna to update our tow notice, because we have had one, and Trevor, maybe you're more familiar with this. Basically, it is they get 3 chances to, get the vehicle moved. It comes in carbon copy. White is for the vehicle, yellow goes to O&M, and then the pink one comes to the office, so that we're all on the same page. And it could cost up to $2,000 to recover their vehicle, the resident's vehicle. What we've done is we added the location of the vehicle. We didn't have that written down. We've put down, the make, the dates of the first and second and final notice. That's all on there. Is there anything else? Did you all get a chance to see that?
I did see that, and I do have one concern. I think it's great because I know that there's a lot of people that do park for days. However, as we have seen on social media, there is a resident that is a trucker. He comes in to visit his family and that's his vehicle. And so he's the one that is leaving it out with, it's a semi with equipment or whatever he has. I'm wondering if the district could give permits to special circumstances for someone like that to park down here.
If there was gonna be any parking at all, my recommendation would be up at the community center. It's out of view and out of,
Not on the roadways. I agree that it should not be on the roadways because of emergency vehicles, stuff of that nature.
Well, they're
So
parking in
it
the
needs to
parking.
be elsewhere.
because previously, one of the main concerns was somebody parking over here and they started their APU, which is auxiliary power unit, through the night, and residents up above the hill, all they heard all night long was this auxiliary power unit running. So that's why that position, that's location over there is not a good location. Over here where the school buses and stuff is marked as well, no overnight parking. I don't know if we're marked or not up there at the community center as of yet. I don't remember.
I don't believe so.
That might be one area because it is, but once again, it would need to be permitted and approved and maybe some sort of some sort of a sticker or something showing that if somebody goes through there and looks, they can see that it's
We might
authorized.
need to work on that
Yeah.
idea a little bit more, but at this time, the vehicles that are on the roadway, they can't be there. in
Okay,
front
so
of-
this is just for on the roadway. This is not for parking at the bus stop or at the entrance.
No, this would be.
That's-
wherever
It
there's
says
no
no
parking.
overnight or extended parking.
Yeah, wherever it
says
says no
anywhere.
parking.
Yeah,
Where there's signed no parking is what it's.
so that's down here too then.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. At this time,
I mean, if his family's gonna pick him up down here, they can pick him up at the community center, if that's the direction you go.
again, though, we probably need to discuss that
Yes,
because if we
yes.
allow one, you allow everybody else.
Yeah.
Understood?
And that means RVs, that means be
Yeah.
careful what we ask for.
Great.
So that maybe needs to be an additional conversation for later on. At this time, is everyone okay with this?
I'm good.
It already exists. This is just an updated version of it.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I'm good with it, but I do agree with, really, do a parking permit to, go park up at the commission, and this is what, a lot we have designated for overnight parking for big trucks like that,
For residents,
for residents.
but we need to work through that some more.
That's not too simple.
Yeah.
I agree with this.
I mean, I've seen people park up there because I have a view of that park RVs in there 3 or 4 nights in a row, but I believe it's family coming to visit, but
So we have a towing company that we would use for this?
I believe what they were going to do is talk, and Trevor, you probably know more about this, and you might as well, Guy, but the idea is that you can call the sheriff's office and they've got like, who's next in line kind of thing. If you've got it documented, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you've got it documented, you've made the 3 chores and stuff, you can get on the list and it's covered. We would not have to pay for this.
My concern is these are not stickers. Somebody could just take it off and say, I never got that. So how,
Here's, yeah, it's exactly what I was gonna say. First picture is this vehicle makes no license. Second picture is this on a window. That's about as good as evidence as you're gonna get.
yeah,
And then, but, I do have experience with these. These will cause fistfights. Make you extremely unpopular. You guys have been dealing with this for a long time. I will work on this to try to get it nails, because this is one of those things that can really hamper a
Yeah.
community. But on the other hand, you need it. Your right of way is congested. Where you're thinking about special permitting stuff, I think it's very valid. A lot of work to do on that. So this is something I'll get into and look at, but I need to understand this intimately, how this works.
and see what I've notified, or we've notified someone, I don't know if it was during one of the meetings, is if you've got somebody parked down here and they're running an APU and you're having noise up on the hill where your house is, call the police.
Yeah.
And say, look, it's marked, it's tagged, no overnight parking. I got a guy down here that's, creating noise, we're not able to sleep. So that's still the other option as well, is if somebody does park there illegally.
Absolutely. Residents can make those calls anytime they want
That's
to.
right.
We do want to make a stand and have it represent Forest Lakes as making a stand. We have the
Right.
signs up.
Right.
And in my opinion, we need to keep the residents happy as well. And so this would be also part on Forest Lakes.
There's a legitimate health, safety, welfare concern.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So, but it's, it can be done in ways that can really screw up a community.
Yeah, I'd
So,
rather not use residents' names or anybody's names at all. That should never be done, or never be done. Cause this is a rule of Forest Lakes. We have it posted and listed as, a rule.
I did notice a vehicle here on San Ritz that was marked by an officer, had a pink, or whatever,
Right.
ribbon on it.
Okay, so as you said, Steve, the sheriff's office or law enforcement at any rate is also privy to that, which is fantastic. They mark it, that's even an additional, I cheer that on, absolutely. So yeah, let's keep our roads clear. That does the towing. Now we have the disbursements. Lily, do you want to cover the disbursements?
I think we need to table the discussions.
Yeah.
Get it figured out.
Okay,
Disbursements need to be tabled because there's some issues with some of the checks.
all right.
So you do not want those checks sent out?
The ones that are checked off, yes, we could do
Everything
that.
that's signed, we can send.
Can we put a
Yes.
motion out for that?
No. On that ledger. Check number.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know
so,
how important that needs to be.
Here's my concern, is I'm not sure in that pile, what's a timely check? So is there something that we're sending to, for instance, a credit card company, that if we don't make a payment, we're gonna incur fees? That's my concern. I understand your guys' concern with fiduciary responsibility. And that's something we'll work on. That's why you got me here nowadays.
yeah,
But in this particular instance, I'm worried about, are we gonna incur any fees or any charges because we did not pay something?
I hear you. And the one that he's referring to is, it might say check is to Julie Saul, $400, but it's really to Corey Griffith on the line item. So none of the checks match.
Oh.
I mean,
None of them did?
not on the ledger, no. They were off a line.
Okay.
I was just going by the check number. I didn't look to see who they were.
Okay.
Now, we could approve the checks that we signed as long as we can go back and reconcile and make sure that the ledger is correct.
I think we make a motion that we go ahead and go with those checks because you've seen the invoice, you've seen that they're legit, but the ledger needs to be worked upon.
Yeah.
So we'll make a motion pending the correction made on the ledger. The disbursements are good to go.
And there are missing checks, so that needs to be reconciled as well. We did not sign those checks. So I second the motion.
All in favor?
She did.
Okay. So those checks that have been signed with invoices will be sent out.
Yeah.
And we'll get that ledger updated and corrected. At this time, anything else? Can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I will second that.
Okay, current time is everybody in favor?
I'm in favor.
I too. Current time is 8:18.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for showing. Oh, I meant to ask Mark if he had anything to add.
Too late now.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to do that. I need to get that on the agenda to see if he has any. Mark, you-
1 hour, 15 minutes.